All right, mic's on.
Mike's on. Go ahead and get started with the Whiteland Town Council, October 8, 2024, with a pledge of allegiance. So if everybody could stand and join, please.
Start the recording.
Yes, ma'am. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Here.
Joe Decker's gone, Deborah Hendrickson,
Here.
Joe Saylor,
Here.
Richard Hill,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Carmen, could you get invocation, please?
Dear God, we gather here today in your presence to conduct the business of the town. We ask for your blessing and guidance. Help us to support the town in the best manner possible.
Thank you. Review and approval of minute, or the agenda. Questions, concerns? Moving on to the minutes, September 10th, 2024. Questions, concerns on the minutes?
I didn't have anything.
Did you even open your packet?
Yeah. Hey, I've got marks on it. You want to see?
Oh, okay, good. Did you have any questions at all? Okay. Have a motion on the minutes at all?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
I'll second.
Tim and Joe, roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Hendrickson,
Yes.
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
passed 4-0.
Voucher packets, October 8, 2024. Questions, concerns? Concerns, comments at all?
I don't have anything.
No.
Have a motion on the table?
I'll move to approve, accounts payable voucher packets.
Second?
Second.
Joe
Or,
and Debbie,
I guess I might have said that. No, never mind. Never mind.
do you have a question?
Nope, nope. I thought I messed something up.
Roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
passed 4-0.
Financial reports? Melissa or Carmen, both?
the rundown of fund balances, our general fund balance as of September 30th was $535,454.48. It does show a little bit higher of disbursements, so there were 3 payrolls that began in September, and so in our accounting system, it just shows that it's coming out of that month, even though the one rate pays, but that was the start of the payroll, so that was where it's a little bit higher. Our sewer operating balance fund balance is $601,714.37. Sewer improvement, now you're gonna, it's really high, but it will not, it's $1,376,405, and if you recall, that was due to the Allure Apartments, for SAF credits that they had with their permits. Water operating balance fund balance is $311,894.32. That was corrected, it was accidentally, that deposit was, large lump sum was put into water operating and it should have been sewer, so that was the correction. And water improvement fund balance is $510,876.96. That's all I have. If you want anything.
I also, from the other meetings that I have, they want to know what their interest is. So from the bank, so I took all the interest that we've entered and subtracted the stormwater and the RDC. So this month, they earned $28,088.84, and we're doing 3.6 instead of 4 now because of the federal changed their interest rate.
Who wants to know?
RDC and Storm wanted to know what their interest rate that they were getting from the bank for all
Oh.
the bank accounts, so I just added it to my list.
Oh.
Is that something you guys want to know, or?
I mean, it's good information to have. I mean, but
Okay, that's perfectly fine.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You're welcome.
Special gas matters? Anything there? Carmen, no? Old business? 2024-12.
So in front of you today was the budget, the Form 1, the budget estimates, and you'll see there are some red lines on there as well. So if you recall at last month's meeting, we had made the decision to forward with the municipal group. And so from that point forward, I had spoken with Rudy and asked them to kind of step aside and let Stone kind of jump in first and get acclimated to our budget and help us finish it out. Which I'm glad, because I found quite a few little hiccups that we had to work through without having to go back and re-advertise. So all of the reds were corrections that we had to make from last month's meeting. And most of them, like I said, were, thankfully we caught them ahead of time and was able to still put in a general fund or put in a budget that was less than what we had advertised. So we also added in under the police department, we added in their new appropriation line item for the pay stuff, and I went ahead and put $6,000 of funding back area. But the biggest kind of hiccups, I would say, were that our FICA and Medicare amounts were not calculated properly. And so remember we moved some of the percentages of salaries into the general fund that maybe have not been there in years past, and they overlooked having to calculate their FICA for that. So that could have been a huge hit. One thing that we also did take a look at, and it was as I was going through the initial kind of budget, is right now we're paying unemployment whether we have somebody on unemployment or not. And we have the option to only pay as we need it. And kind of be like a self-pay, which is going to save us a lot of money. So we've just been sending the state money and paying an unemployment tax that we don't necessarily have to. And so that's what kind of saved us. So we pulled out unemployment. We will be coming back to better explain what that process will look like. But our budget that we'd like for you all to consider adopting is just under $44,000 less than what we advertised. So I would like to ask for approval on adopting the 2026.
I have a question about the unemployment. So we've just been playing for how long, how much, and are we getting anything back?
Probably will not get anything back, but we will come back next month once we've kind of got this adopted and as we come forward with our utility budgets to share with you exactly how much we will be saving from year over year.
But we already have, I'm sorry, we already have some in the kitty. So are they gonna use that up first?
We'll have to check into that.
Yeah.
It was, like I said, we just kind of brought Adam on and jumped right in. We haven't even done like a kickoff meeting that, kind of crazy. I just said, I called him tonight, that I need to go on the budget. Like I said, sent Reedy on down the road and left them right in there to help us get those things.
So one other question to piggyback on that. So if we're not gonna put it in a bucket of money and we're gonna wait till we need to do it, so are we going to like funnel that money into a rainy day fund concept? Or we just, when the time happens, we'll just take it out of a different fund to pay that?
Right, so that was one of the things that we will come back to you with a better plan, so we're not just waiting until, like, there will be, like you said, maybe putting some money into, a rainy day or some sort of fund to just be in case.
Because potentially if you don't do that and you don't budget for it, then you're gonna be negative on that, right? So,
Yep.
okay.
So,
And
I'm guessing that part of becoming a self-pay, you probably have to have some form of collateralization, correct?
I would hope so, but like, I'm not familiar with that, so that, Stephen, do you have any insight on that?
not on that particular question, but I was going to say that one option would be, assuming that you had unappropriated funds available, that should something come up, you could have an additional appropriation to cover it.
And I've got a question. Like, say if someone does get dismissed and they go to fight it, since we're not paying the state, does the state, who fights them to prove that they don't get it or denies them or stuff like that? Is that something what comes from this office, or is it something what comes from, a judge or an attorney, or do we have to pay out more money to, and if they want to fight, let's say they got dismissed for stealing something and they still wanted to fight the unemployment. We wanted to say no, but they got the right, and then who would, I guess, overlook all that?
I believe that would be your town attorney. That would.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be Department of Workforce Development. Their administrative law judge still does the hearing, makes a ruling and everything.
Okay.
But I don't think it would change anything as far as who represents the town in that hearing.
Right, right. I guess the one simple answer to your question is, I don't think you're gonna have an insurance company or the state that's gonna go and fight that.
Okay, that's what I
You
was
have
curious.
to
I've
hire somebody
I've never
to do
dealt
that
with it
yourself.
before. That's why I'm asking questions. I don't know how that works. I've never been on unemployment, so I don't know. And I didn't know if the state takes it over, since you're paying into it. Does the state take it over for you to fight it, or do we fight it in-house? That's why I was asking.
I think we always have to represent ourselves in-house. It's the state that makes the decision. Basically, DWD makes the decision.
Okay, so it'd be the same.
Admin law judges, and they do telephonic trials, for lack of a better way of doing it. It's not a fun.
I bet, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever dealt with anything like that. That's why I was curious on making sure that we were okay, that it didn't cost us more if we're doing it this way, but when we represent ourselves, it doesn't matter. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
So on the Excel sheet that you presented last month, is this the update with that, or is this combined, or did or Stone find problems with that spreadsheet also? Or is this the cumulative
This
changes?
is the revised, so the published is what that was what the totals were that we put together. And then we adopted is after we scrubbed through the line items. That is what we're asking you to adopt. And like you'll see on here, the park board per they didn't even put it in there, and I'm like, guys, there were some errors that again, we asked them to help us.
This is what was
and they should have been
published.
the ones dotting i's and crossing
And this
t's.
is what's gonna be adopted.
So what is this, a raise, or how does that work?
They do this every day.
General fund.
So another question, sorry.
150 is paid out of the general fund.
So going back to
That's a raise.
what Reedy was contracted to
General fund's
do,
paying that much.
all the adjustments we did and reconciliation
Now I
for the
understand.
last 3 years. Is that correct? Are we gonna spot check that?
If you see,
I'm trying to figure it out. And all those items that you provided to us, for the services, that is one of those. The reconciliation and.
That's what they pay out of their salary, correct? They pay that
from the general fund.
Gary, you trust.
towards their salary.
Trust but verify.
That's where I was getting confused. I was
That's the
trying
25%.
okay.
Okay.
See, town marshal, police, secretary, totally paid out of it, out of the general fund.
We've already done our public hearing, right?
Yeah, that was last.
Do we need one on this?
I believe that was last.
Yeah, I think it was last time.
Yeah, you don't need one this time.
No.
Say review or we
No.
don't?
I think we go.
We just need a motion.
We need to sign the form for, we get that submitted.
Yeah, the public hearing occurred last month.
Right. So can I ask a question? Why did we go down in legal fee?
So remember last month I had put 120,000 in just general fund and you wanted me to put some of that in planning and zoning into the department, we're departmentalizing it.
Okay, so
That was the.
planning and zoning, 30,000 went into there, okay, for legal fee. Gotcha.
For the overall general fund, it's the.
Yeah.
Another cool thing that I learned is that having things set us up where even within the general fund, we'll be able to assign a department number. So if police just wants to see their budget, we can pull just a report of general fund, police. So they don't have to see everything else and so on and so forth within that department. So there's that capability within.
He knows Keystone to do that? That's shocking. I didn't know Keystone when we first came. Okay.
Any other questions? I had 5 or 6. Anybody wanna? No?
You can ask mine.
I'm good.
Do I have a motion? 2024-12 at all?
I'll move to approve 2024-12 budget.
Can I have a second? To my right?
I'll second it.
Trying to look.
I'll second it.
Joe and Debbie, roll call please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrick. Yes. Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill.
Yes.
Pass 4-0.
Got any papers
Thank
all
you.
over the building. I was looking at it.
That's a new business. Carmen, it's still you, right?
So the next step is, between the town of Whiteland and Westler Engineering Group, to see, you've probably seen this before, but we're revisiting this. This is, an agreement that is specific for the cost of GIS mapping of our sewer infrastructure and putting together an asset management plan. So we can, formally approve or apply for state revolving fund, dollars for next year. So the total, last year we had come in and it was well more than what you're proposing, what we're asking for tonight. But the GIS, yes, could we buy the equipment and do it ourselves? Yes, but with the manpower that we have, it does not make the most sense when they have, Westler has the latest and greatest of all of the, GIS mapping devices. So we had asked Derek to put together, just kind of an a la carte of what it would cost for them to do our GIS mapping. And then also, like I said, the asset management. So the total estimated fee is $113,000 and $150. So Stephen has reviewed it. The only change we had was, the term of when we get an invoice, how soon we could or could not pay that, and so we advise that from 30 days to 45 days for everything else. So this would be something that as we begin to apply for state revolving fund dollars, or even anything through the Indiana Finance Authority, this would give us all the tools we need to make those formal applications. So any questions, and then Katie is here representing tonight.
I want to know, is everything in this? Unlike 2 years ago when Westler didn't put in something that we didn't know they didn't put in, and then it ended up costing us a lot more money after that.
So this will be to go out and map our infrastructure.
I know, but there was something they didn't include, and you remember what that was?
I don't remember off the top of my head. And that was as we were going through design, but with that, we had some revisions that we kind of threw at them and said, build it as big as you can. And so there were some things that came back, but they were originally offering to help us with that GIS mapping and the asset management plan a couple of years ago, but then we kind of hit pause with the tornado and such.
But we couldn't finish that without doing something else, and it was gonna cost us more money. You remember what that
I
was?
don't recall. But I know the GIS mapping has been the hard work. Just because, we've looked at buying the Trimbles, but again, can we have like an iPad that we can go out, but is that accurate? No. So that would help us to get it all electronic. So we're not out in the field with big old maps, trying to find our sewer. We've got a lot of new infrastructure put into that this could be.
Well, an asset management plan is basically crucial to a whole bunch of grant application ability, correct?
Correct, yeah, and that's good
Yeah.
for us to have with all of our utilities, so we're gonna be working towards getting that for water and things of that nature. Is it a lot of money? Yes, but just remember that sewer improvement, balance was significantly higher with the growth we have had. So that would be where I would take it from.
Does this include applying for the,
SRF.
mhm.
So we've talked about like the big project, the big sewer improvement project, but we've also talked about now breaking it into phases. And we have a revised cost estimate for the Chadlow relief. That was like one of the first phases that we're looking at doing. And that's what we would come back with, the sewer rates, and have that discussion when we're ready to kind of proceed with that.
Who's gonna do that then?
Who's gonna do what?
The SRF?
So, we're not there yet, because remember that had, 3 or 4 parts in an asset management plan. Because there's the financial part, which we would bring in Adam to help us with that. So this would be.
There's 3 parts.
3 parts,
So there's the
okay.
technical
Yes.
portion, which the GIS mapping is what helps with that, so. And also just to jump back a beat, so asset management plans are now required by the state if you want any kind of funding. Also, if you're ever going to increase the capacity of your plant. So even if you had all of the capital funds, and you had to go from 1 MGD to even 1.1 MGD, the state will require you to have an asset management plan in order to do that. So you have to have in an asset management plan a technical evaluation, so you have to have everything mapped, and you have to have everything evaluated and everything has to be scored. Every manhole has to receive a score, every valve, everything. And then there's also a financial portion which your financial advisor would have to provide how many years and at what payments and at what rates the town would need to do should something fail in order to pay for that. And then there's also a managerial portion, which is really easy, the easiest part to accomplish, that's.
Usually that was like the hierarchy or the,
Yeah, who are your operators, what are their licenses, really, you have all of the information, you just have to compile it. And the idea behind an asset management plan is that in the past, whenever communities went to get grant funding, they would say, my system's failing, I need a loan. They'd get a loan or a grant, and then they would never maintain their system, and they'd just wait for, not every community, but some communities would wait for things to fail, and then would come back to the state and say, we need more money. And the idea behind an asset management plan is that the state is hoping communities look at every single one of their assets and see that, okay, we installed this now, its useful life is 10 years, so in 10 years, we need to make sure we have enough budget to potentially replace it. So that's background of an asset management plan.
I've got a question. Are we having our new developers GIS everything now and turning it into us?
Yes.
I know that's not your question.
So we get them, and we get their as-built, once they're installed, and then we ask for it in a GIS, like a shaped file, so we can add that to. And we already have an account through ArcGIS to be able to upload those.
I deal with GIS every day,
Yeah.
and it's only as good as the mapping is. Are you guys going to be boots on the ground, shooting valves, shooting manholes, shooting inlets? And because I'm sure this old town probably doesn't have a few maps, we've run into that everywhere.
Well, there might be some things that don't have tracing and wires. on.
Correct, and we got the same thing, and that's why I was curious, so your guys are gonna be out physically digging up, checking shut-offs, everything, know where meter pits are and stuff like that, so it's gonna be more involvement than just looking at maps and stuff
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
they're not looking at a map and then trying to electronic.
No,
Put it in. No, they're out there with an actual GPS unit going in and creating the GIS system. And they'd have access to whatever your current system is so that it gets put in there right away, so.
and that's something that maybe once they get it established, you guys would have like a handheld for new stuff you could add, just do by
We
hand.
have access to it on a handheld, like a mobile, like an iPad or something like that, or even like a GPS.
Right, well, ours is on our phone. I can go stand on it by my phone and I poke it in and put the coordinates in and I stand over top of it and it sends it into my file and then I send it out. And then it goes into our GIS system. So that's why I just want to make sure that's what we were working for, to make sure that we know where things are and adding stuff. Okay.
We have a lot of inventory already loaded in there, but it's
And it's hard to get someone to spend that much time to fill verify. I do understand that.
Yeah, and that's why that cost ended up being the higher of the cost, just because there are usually at least two people out here working together to get everything mapped into the system.
Two people working together or separately going?
Well, sorry, there's two people just for safety, but yes, there are not two people on the top of the same van.
Okay, so they're working ahead of each other,
Yeah.
and we're not having two guys just stand next to each
No,
other. Okay,
no.
thank you.
So once this is done, who holds the data? Do they hold the key or do we?
We do.
So it's not a monthly,
Everything.
so we own everything. We get all the paper copies, everything. There's no monthly subscription to access this data ever
pay an annual subscription for ArcGIS.
for the GIS system,
Yeah.
but not necessarily back to them.
It's really a good thing once everything gets in there. I've used it several times and we've lost a valve and they come out and pinpointed it within 3 inches. So it is a nice tool to have if it's accurate. If it's not right, it's really a pain,
Will
but
this give us any predictive maintenance opportunities with an asset management? It will give
Well,
us,
the GIS, so what we can do, like kind of what Tim was giving the example, if he has to go out and check something, and when you guys score it, they'll be able to score it, so is it like 1 will be the lowest? Yeah, but 1 will be the lowest, yeah. And then for it to use like the pacer, and so we have to go out and score it on a 1 to 10. And kind of looking at, okay, where does this one, so if we have 5s, and we say, okay, well, the life expectancy for a valve is, let's just say 5 years, I don't know. But it's rated a 5 now, and it was a 10, but it's a 5, so if you're in the next 2 years, we're probably gonna need to replace it. In some of the GTS or the GIS systems, it'll send you an alert. Ours may not be that sophisticated just yet. We've seen some really cool ones demonstrated for us, but they're very expensive. But to where you can pull a report and know that in 2025, these are all of the valves or, line pipes that need to be
you need
replaced.
to focus on,
Yes.
create your budget and,
Yes, and then
Okay.
that helps with the budget and that too, so.
I believe what you guys will get, unless Derek's explained it differently, is a lot of times if you don't already have one of those systems like a CityWorks or there's some other brands. But then you'll get an Excel spreadsheet and you'll have, say, manhole number 1. And manhole number 1 will get GIS, so you'll have a pinpoint location. It also gets opened up and physically eyes on it, evaluated and given a score. Is it a block manhole? Is it a brick manhole? Is it a concrete manhole? Is it in asphalt? Is it in grass? So all of those things get put into it to determine what it might cost to replace it or to rehab it, because obviously it's gonna be cheaper to replace a manhole in the grass than what it is to replace in the asphalt. So they'll get a condition score on its physical condition and then a criticality score. So usually criticality is if it's a really large sewer pipe, it's handling a large service area, and if something happens to that pipe, it affects a lot of people. So that criticality is gonna be a higher score than if it is an 8-inch that serves 5 homes and something happens to that. And then that score and the condition score get combined to have an overall business risk exposure score. And then what ends up happening is you look at creating projects and budgets off of knowing that this is a really high scored item because it looks like it's about to fail and it's gonna affect a lot of people. This is how much it's gonna cost. And then eventually, if you get a system that can alert you, then that would all get input in there by someone from the town. We're not going to do it. And then that way you guys can get alerted and plan your budgets and know when things need to get replaced. So that it's preventative and not trying to fix it after something bad has already happened.
And another way this benefits Whiteland, and I can speak from personal use, like on my iPad at where I work, got a little thing, it's called Tim's Maps. So I can hit this, pulls up all our GIS, everything out there, our whole system, shows me what size main there are, where the manholes are located, where's the valves, where's this. It's a good tool for the workers, especially at locating in the middle of the night. Like if Slim has to come out in the night, he can pull up a map and it shows him where the main is, what side it's on, if the map's correct. But it's a good tool for our service department and locating to keep our mains from getting hit, because as you're aware, when we get hit, it's just a big pain around here, shuts everything down. So I mean, I think it's a good tool for the town itself employs.
So I would ask if you feel so moved to approve that I can sign this agreement or proceed with the GIS mapping.
I got one more question, sorry. I know. What does Slim think about it?
He's supportive of it.
Because that's who's gonna use it more than you, or, you know, no fits.
Force him to.
Why, they forced me to do it too,
He's
so.
a smartphone, so I
Right.
think we'll be okay.
They forced me to do it too, so I get it. If I could do it, I think anybody can do it. I just want to make sure that he was comfortable with it and he thought it was a good idea. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, done.
Have a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to accept that agreement with Wessler for the GIS system
And asset management.
and asset management, excuse me.
Second.
I'll second.
Tim and Debbie, roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
pass 4-0.
Parks Advisory Board?
So I had put a memo together for you all, Deb and I met in September
She was trying to figure this out.
I'm getting my dates mixed up, but we went through, all of the applicants for the Parks Board and, put together a slate of, 4 individuals that we would like to have considered for appointment to the Parks Board. Josh Henry is here tonight. Jared Ferguson was wanting to come, was unable to attend, and Dale had family in from out of town, or, like way out of town that he, so he was unable to attend as well. I didn't hear from Megan if she was able to make it tonight, but obviously, she was not. So I would like to ask the council to move forward with appointing, the slate of the Parks Board candidates listed above. I did ask Josh if he would prefer to have a 1, 2, or 3-year term assignment, so it'll normally be a 4-year term. But the first term, just so everybody's staggered, there's a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. He said he'll take the 1 year, just give it a whirl and get the ball rolling.
Chicken.
So I would ask if you are so moved to appoint the candidates that are before you, Josh Henry and Jared Ferguson are both Republican candidates. Megan Kane is the Democrat candidate, and Dale Gick is an independent, and then assign them the 1, 2, and 3.
You want us to assign the one?
I think that, well, the one, Jared said he would, or Josh said he would take that,
One.
that one, and then the other 3 up to you.
You were in these, right? You were in all this?
Just go across and do Megan 2, Dale 3, and then Jared 4. Is that all right, with everybody?
I'm gonna get another pen. This is,
Megan 2, Dale 3, and Jared 4.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
give me another pen, please. Mine's not good. Thank you.
And then how does that, on the terms, the 1 year, then
And it could be a 4-year term.
it goes to automatic 4 years for everybody?
Yeah, so they'll be staggered. Maybe somebody every 4 years come up for reappointment.
Okay.
I mean, every year for,
Yeah, every year.
Every year they'll.
yeah.
And then that just comes before the board to select, or the same interview concept, or how does all that?
It's up to you all, it's a legislative appointment, so however you would want to handle that, you know, it can just come before you, how we will come with plan commission,
Yeah.
BZA, things of that nature.
Same concept, if somebody decides to move on, then you just follow the same BZA planning commission concept?
And they are more or less calendar year appointments. They expire on the first Monday in January.
So can we have their term start in January technically, even if we appoint them now, cause I would hate for Josh only gets like 2 months.
2 months, yeah.
No, these are for 2025, right?
Well,
But we don't have a parks board appointing a.
if you want them to act this year, then
They need
they need to be
do it the
effective
rest.
now.
Oh, do you something you want this year? Oh,
So let's just make them, let's make the 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year effective January 1st. So appoint them now, but
Yeah,
Josh will be appointed for 1 year from January 1st and then.
But can they still start meeting now?
Yeah, that way they can start meeting now, but the appointments will expire
Official
in
term, okay.
1 year and 2 months or 3 months, I guess.
that way I can go to work.
Was that a motion, Deb?
we could move Josh to June and then get a whole year and a half out of him.
You might like it, you wanna stay.
I know. Yeah, I make a motion for Joshua Henry, 1 year, Megan Kane, 2 year, Dale Glick, 3 year, and Jared Ferguson, 4 year,
And those are starting January 1st.
starting January
For
1st.
the year calculation.
First, yeah.
Okay. I'll second that.
Roll call vote, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor.
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes?
passed 4-0.
So as we get started on the parks board, as you recall, we do have a parks master plan that we started. And we wanted to make sure we had the parks board members established and in place, so we could gather their input with this, with the parks master plan. But another portion of that is for us to, look at pursuing park impact fees on new developments. And so, I would like permission to proceed with the investigation on what it would take for us to get a park impact fee implemented into the town. So they're quick and kind of looking at it is that planning commission would be involved as well, but come to you all with an ordinance to impose a park impact fee on new developments.
Yeah.
We kind of looked around the area. Franklin has a fairly low, and I believe there's a park impact fee study, so we have another study to kind of go through. But we've kind of looked at the lows and the highs. In our area in Edinburgh doesn't have a park impact fee for whatever reason. And I was like shocked because they're getting ready to have a massive like development come in. So I'm like, hurry up and get a park impact fee, but that's their community. Franklin's is just under $1,200. Greenwood's is just under $1,600, as is Bargersville's. And Plainfield, which obviously is not in Johnson County, is $25. So again, this would be assessed to new development as it comes in when they pull that permit, they got park impact fee.
Residential development.
Residential.
Development, my apologies, because they most likely would be the ones using the amenities that are found in the park, so.
So that would be just a flat fee on top of the permits that they, and then that goes into a bucket of money, and that's what we
Use for parks.
for parks.
do you have any questions, or are you good if I start to dig in with Stephen and probably Adam on what a park impact fee would look like for us?
Yeah.
I would be
would-
supportive of.
Absolutely.
going down the road.
Do we need to vote on that or just?
If we have consensus, I.
No, I'm good with it. I shook my head, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Since everybody's on board. Thank you.
Raise your hand high.
I do have one question. When will the park board meet?
We'll have to figure that out. We have a lot of night meetings, so we'll have to kind of see what works best with everybody. I'd like to get them. I'll talk to.
Does that have to be a resolution or anything, Stephen, to set that meeting?
It would have to be advertised or given notice under the open door law.
Because don't we have it in our ordinances or something, somewhere in our resolutions, when each board meets?
You have a calendar of meetings that you adopt every year.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can change them, because we've changed the
But-
town council, but,
It doesn't have to be.
okay.
As long as it's given notice and you can delegate authority to Carmen to coordinate that.
Okay.
I'd like to reach out to all of them and kind of, obviously they may not be the board members forever, but at least to kind of find what works. We want to make sure it's available for the public to attend as well. I know there's some communities that have certain meetings that like 10 o'clock in the middle of the day. But, to have it at the evening, another night meeting is, we'll do what we have to do. So, but we'll kind of look at that, and I'd like their input on that. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Park board. Well, there was a park board way back in the day, but
They never met.
I never met.
Never met.
So, anyways, we're excited about it.
2024-09, personal property tax abatement.
So I will not steal anyone's thunder, but I would like to, I'll invite Amanda Roundy from Spire Johnson County to introduce our guests here today from B&H Distributing, and they've got a presentation that's published for you, and I'll let her share what they're looking to do.
Good evening.
Hello.
President, members of the Town Council. Again, Amanda Revenue with Spire Johnson County, Vice President of Economic Development for Spire Johnson County. What I'm bringing to you this evening is consideration for a tax abatement, personal property tax abatement for D&H Distributing. They are considering 185 Bob Glidden Boulevard, also known as the 45 building, depending on what side you're working on there. They are a distributor for technology, like a distributor and logistics center. They will be making $8.4 million in building improvements and $17.2 million in machinery and equipment purchases for this building. About 101 jobs, about 100 jobs. Being on an average of 23 an hour. They're requesting a 5-year personal property. Actually, so you should have in your packet, this sheet right here, you'll have some brighter highlight with some green and yellow on there.
What?
Yeah, this sheet
Is it
right
called
here.
Project Grand Slam? Project Grand Slam?
Yeah, project.
Okay.
Right there.
So if you take a look at this, so what I've done is, this is this is the kind of assessment, this is what, this is an estimate of what they can expect as a savings for their company, and then what the town can expect over that 5-year, period. And so if you look at here on, I think it's highlighted in yellow, of course I was trying to save color, so I printed your guys' is nice and mine, in gray. So you're looking at, tax savings for the company of $507,000. And then, so that would be their incentive. And then the tax payments with the abatement, so over that 5-year period, you can expect $335,000 if you grant that, abatement. I'd like to introduce Amy Sultan. With the company to provide a presentation and a little bit more information about the company. I'm glad to come back up and answer any questions you might have about this specifically. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
how do you spell your last name?
Sylvan, S like Sam, I-L, F like Frank, Ian.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not usual. It's short, but nobody gets it right, so don't worry about it. Anyway, Amy Sylvan, D&H Distributing Company, I really appreciate you taking the time to hear about our company, proud of. So, who's going to,
I am.
you going to take that?
It's over here too.
Oh, yeah. Sam, maybe over here.
There you
I don't wanna, I apologize.
You're fine, you're fine.
Okay. So D&H was founded in 1918, so not quite as old as the town of Whiteland, but pretty damn close. We are headquartered in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We are a wholesale distributor of consumer electronics and IT equipment. We are a privately held company. And you may have never heard of our name, but we're actually one of the largest private companies in the country. But one other thing you might be interested in is we are actually family owned and operated. So I am actually third generation family working in the business, and we now have fourth generation. So you see red everywhere. Deep red is the D&H color. We are all into D&H red, everything that we do. One thing just hot off the presses, we were just recently awarded Best Companies to Work in Pennsylvania for the 5th straight year. So that was a pretty exciting thing, and everybody's pretty hyped up about it right now. Next slide. D&H has a mantra. We call it BFG, Built for Growth, Built for Giving, Built for Generations. So Built for Growth is more about not our own growth, but helping our customers grow. And then we would organically grow as our customers grow. We've been very successful with that. Clearly during COVID, we basically sell everything everybody needed from home. So COVID was a very successful time. Built for Giving. We are all about giving back to the community, to our vendors, to our customers, to our co-owners, to everybody, all of our stakeholders. It's very important to us. Not just giving in terms of charity, but giving in terms of time and effort, supporting our customers and their needs. So that's another one of our tenets. And then Built for Generations. Because we are public, we do not, we don't care about the next quarter, right, or next month, or whatever it is. We are looking for the future, right? Generations, we have employees that have worked for us, parents work for us, children work for us, sibling work for us, long-term, we say they bleed D&H red. And we're really, really proud of that because our employees are the most important asset that we have. Next page, D&H is also an ESOP. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that term or not, but ESOP, an employee stock option plan, whereby 36% of the company is owned by our employees. We call them co-owners. And that's a really big part of who we are, that our co-owners participate in the growth of D&H every year. 36% of the profits of D&H go into ESOP, and that is then available for our employees for retirement, in addition to 401k and everything else that they have. Less than 1/3 of 1% of all companies in the United States are ESOPs. And you'll find that with ESOP companies, employees are engaged, they care about the company and what we're doing, they know that decisions they make are definitely gonna affect their own pocketbook. So they think more about spending, they think more about what are they doing to grow the business, because they are gonna benefit from it. So next slide, a little bit more. You also find that employees that work for ESOP companies tend to stay longer. We have a saying that ESOP, it pays to stay. The longer you're there, the more you're gonna have for retirement. Generally, an ESOP company has 3 times, an employee of an ESOP company has 3 times the retirement funds than somebody that works for any other company out there. We have stories, and it's from, like, it's everybody in the company, right? Even our part-time employees get to participate in ESOP. So it's from management to clerical staff to office staff to warehouse workers, you name it, everybody participates in the ESOP. Not something you have to pay to get into or anything like that, you're automatically part of it, like, I think after you're at the company, 90 days, I don't know, there's many days. But in any case, I mean, there's stories of warehouse workers retiring as millionaires from our ESOP. As the company's grown, their retirement has grown with it, so again, pays to stay in the money better, so that's a really, really important part of who we are and what we do and why we value our employees. So, talking about economic impact, when we go into a town and we whether it be an office building, a warehouse, or whatever it is, we plan on being there a long time. We're not coming in to stay for 5 years and then move on to the next best thing. We are looking for 20+ years, right? Building that we are looking at now is our future for a long time. It's bigger than we need today, but we will grow into that building, and that's why we're doing it. So we have that opportunity. We don't have to move again. It's very costly to us and our employees when we move, so therefore we try not to do that. But you know, also in that we bring a lot of, we don't just have the employees, right? We hire all local, right? We bring our, you know, so we have all the payroll and all the benefits and all that other stuff. But we also bring people in, and we have events here, and we do other things, so we actually are supporting the local community outside of just from a payroll perspective. Jump to the next slide. Benefits, this is a list of D&H benefits. Now, every company has benefits, but what I think what you'll find is our benefits go above and beyond what most other companies do. As a lot of other companies have been reducing the benefits over the last 5-some years, we've actually doubled down and increased our benefits. So, and also available to part-time employees. But we have, you know, the same medical, dental, all that stuff that everybody else has, but we also have wellness programs, we pay for gym memberships, we pay for tuition. We also, like if an employee has a hardship, a loan program, we have a loan program for our employees. The other thing is what's happening right now, we have a sales office in Clearwater, and we are mobilizing, prepared to help our employees down there if they become displaced. Our phones are blowing up with emails of everybody trying to figure out what we're gonna do to help our employees. Less about the building itself, right, down there, it's a sales office, we can live without that, but we need to make sure our employees are safe and sound, and we will do what we can for them. Next, right, this is all of everything I've been talking about put together, right, the growth, giving, and generations, our ESOP. We partner with communities. We plan on coming in and being here a very long time, being there for our employees, being there for the community that we work with. And you'll see D&H as a company supports a lot of initiatives with the communities, be it, you know, charitable, we've had fire departments come and we allow them to do training on our property, right? We will support the community, participate in Toys for Tots, and Habitat for Humanity. Make-A-Wish is a really big one of ours. It's a very big thing that we do. One of our funds goes Make-A-Wish on a company perspective. But if you jump to the next slide, you'll see in addition to what the company does, we have an organization called D&H Cares. And this is an employee or co-owner run organization that also gives charity, but it's what the co-owners want in their local community. So if somebody has an interest in supporting, I don't know, March of Dimes or whatever it is, we can organize events for them. We allow them to come into our property, use them for events if it makes sense, right? We donate, our employees donate their time, their funds, goods. We've had diaper and baby formula drives and things like that. We'll do whatever, like an employee has an interest in working with a certain charity, we will talk about it and try to figure out how to make it work, and D&H Cares. D&H Cares, just the employee-run one has given over $1 million to charity. It's above and beyond what the company does. So it's that, this is just some examples of, when we did food banks, that was clearly particular child work day, and we had the fire department come and they got to crawl over the trucks. We bring service dogs on site, or, we have, I think one of the communities we had, shelter dogs brought in. So not only was it a stress reliever for our employees, like playing with puppies, but it also was an adoption, keep adoption as well. So just engaging, employees engaged, companies engaged, and same thing here, we do it at every one of our sites. And there's a large variety of events throughout the year to support the community. And it's basically what our co-owners care about is what we end up caring about, and that's what we try to support. So I think that's the end of what I have. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I do appreciate your time. We're certainly looking forward to being in this community. We like what we see.
Thank you very much. I did have a question.
Sure.
Approximately 100 jobs, is that from the get-go, or is that ramping up? Is there a time frame?
It might be 90 to start, something like that. We can hire
Okay,
to come here. So it's all is what we're looking to hire.
okay, thank you.
This Core 5 building already getting an abatement?
The real property, this is personal property.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So they're getting a real property abatement
On the building.
on the building. Will that building be theirs?
We are.
They're leasing it.
So they'll have a real property abatement, and now they're asking for a personal property abatement, which is not what we normally do.
Well, but if you recall, we went through, because we're getting, to where we can be more selective. And we spent time coming up with scoring criteria to where we could take what their application and kind of in conversations with them and see how it would flush out in our scoring criteria. And of that, in your packets, there were 2 different scores. Both of which were like, it would be most likely supportive of an abatement of this. One of them was the number of employees. They said 100 employees, and I think our range went up to 99, so we would give a little bit more points. So that's why I gave you 2. And then same thing on the investment too, right there on the bubble. So I felt like that with the scoring criteria and everything that they were bringing to the table, that using the scoring criteria that you all adopted, that it would be supportive of it.
And this is not the first one that we.
No, I know, but it's not.
So how does that work? Yeah.
You got that one.
Thanks, Stephen. So how does that work with Core 5 getting the abatement and potentially a client coming in
It
and then
passes through.
Transfer.
It stays with the land, and whoever is the owner and the taxpayer gets the benefit of that property tax abatement.
Right. So I believe that there's been several years already of the tax abatement that has already been.
There's probably about 7 years left on it, would be my guess. 7 or
So
8
that
years.
would transfer to the new owner
Right.
when they purchase?
As long as they remain in compliance.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, and Joe brings up a perfect point, is that every year you all evaluate to ensure that all of the abatements are within compliance of what they said they were going to do. So, and that, and not to compare, it's not apples to apples, but we knew that once we began, offering personal property abatements, that we would probably see more than just the one. And I believe this investment is more than the last one that you all did approve.
Well, and that was the purpose of developing this
Yes.
also, to
Correct.
help guide
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Any
ma'am.
other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess my initial thought is that, as we know, from the various developers who've asked for extensions on their buildings and such, the spec building market isn't quite as hot as it was
Do you have one of these?
2 or 3 years ago. An opportunity to, this isn't just a we're gonna store stuff there and whatnot kind of operation. And in all honesty, I'm pretty impressed with the company. Well, I would generally be favorable to it. I'm always a bit hesitant on these. But, this one checks the boxes I'd be looking for.
I agree.
What's the difference between these two? One says 75, one says,
The number of employees and the investment. So the range on employees went to like 99, like that they would be bringing 50 to 99. And that the investment was right at 27.5 million. Those were both of those numbers were right on the bubble. I didn't think it would be fair to just say, nope, you said you wanted 100 employees and we said only 99, and so that's why I provided you with the two different.
So one calculus is as if they had 99 employees, one is as if they had 100.
100 employees. So that's why it's more.
yeah.
Any questions? No? Do we have a motion on the table either way?
I'll move to approve, resolution 2024-09, approving, personal property tax abatement for DNH.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
pass 4-0.
That was hard.
Thank you so much.
I know what you mean.
If we weren't getting a real property abatement, then I would say, yeah.
So I get it. Fees away and stuff like that, but it's already on it.
Yeah.
We're already doing that.
Yeah,
So we just need to make sure that
it's
what we're
only
doing.
5 years.
2024-14.
And I like that better than 10.
Yeah, I would never do 10.
So as you know, we have been reviewing our sewer, water, and storm utility rates. Before we kind of let the year go by, so just an update real quick on the water. We will have something for you all next month. We were hoping to have it for this meeting, but Stephen and I had a conversation with the meeting and asked them to come back to the health board and work the numbers. I did speak with Brooke today, and they're proofing out the options again with the revisions that we kind of made, and so we didn't want to rush into it. But we do want to get moving quickly with the rate increase that we have received from Indiana American Water. It's a lot higher of an invoice each month.
When does that start?
It already has. It already has. We've depleted what we had budgeted for water, purchased water for this year. So we need to get moving on it, but we want to make sure it's right. And it's clear as mud, right? So for sewer, when we're ready to move forward, the recommendation right now from me is until we're ready to move forward on a project, let's hold on a rate increase on our like the monthly rates. But the one thing that we did want to make sure that we went ahead and took care of is our sewer availability fee. And so right now, one EDU, the equivalent domestic unit, is $2,250. And through the calculations and what we need, and this is for new construction or new permits for an expansion, and it also gives us an opportunity through our code to go back and revisit. This is an example. They said that they would eventually have, 500 employees, but they're only starting out with 50. So they're only paying an EDU rate for that building for 50 employees. Well, how are we recapturing that? The other example was the school. When they went through the renovation, they've added a lot more headcount from the previous, renovation. So it kind of gives us that opportunity to capture back that availability fee. So with this, the ordinance that is before you today is to amend the rate and charges for the connection to the sewer. And again, that EDU currently is $22.50, and we're asking for that through the calculations that Reedy has provided us to increase that to $3,964 per EDU. As we kind of compare that to other communities, right now we are on the low end. We're lower than, or we're just a little bit higher than Greenwood, but in my range of municipalities we compared to, it went from $1,915 up to $5,600. So with the new proposed rate would put us kind of in the middle of other communities within Johnson County, as well as Plainfield was an example I gave earlier. That was in there, and even on the northern side in the Hamilton County, just to kind of see how we shake out with everyone else. So I'll entertain any questions, but I'd like for us to, is this the public hearing for this, Stephen?
No, this is the introduction only. We have to have that next time.
I've got a question. You're saying that you don't want to raise the sewer rates until we get a project going on, correct?
So we have the formal project that we'd like to present to move forward with, knowing what that phase of that project is going to actually cost.
And do we have an estimation when that phase might come in? Because my problem with this is we're getting ready to raise everything. I hate to raise something this year and then come right back next year and raise it again. And then, it's hard to budget for something like that. That's why if we really need to be careful with this and either do it all at once and everybody adjust to it, because every year is going to get harder. Every year is going to get harder when we have to go out and ask, raise utility rates up and stuff like that. So kind of worries me about that.
The biggest, the reason on the water why we need to push is because we've had a decent increase.
Correct, I understand that. I'm just saying, I think we should be
like
more.
Storm and water will probably all happen at the same time. The storm is currently with the stormwater board, the storm, utility rate is currently with the stormwater board, and they'll be voting on it tomorrow through a resolution to then bring it to the council in November. So these two will be voted at the same time and voted on at the same time. Then stormwater would get introduced to you all in November with potential adoption in December. No matter what any of this is, you all can set and they're implemented. So you can approve it, or tonight's introduction, next month, if you should approve it, you can say effective January 1, March 1, or,
Correct.
And like I said, this is a development fee.
Right, this is,
I'm okay with
Yes,
this.
when we come back with rates and things like that, it's up to you all on.
But when you just said that, that's why I brought that up. I know what this is for. This is free to use. I'm perfectly fine with that. I have no problem with that. I'm just real more concerned about the utilities when we start raising utilities up. Is try not to get a reputation of every year. We're gonna raise the bill up, we're gonna raise this up, because this year we've raised trash up, and we're gonna do the what?
Let's not.
No, that's my whole point, I don't wanna do that.
So what I will do is next month plan to also bring the sewer rate along with water and nail down a project that we want to move forward with that rate.
I'd rather pull the Band-Aid off all at once, in my opinion, and get it over with and get all the negative out, and then just try to work to a positive from then on out.
Okay. So today was just an introduction of that. If you have any questions on the EDU?
well, we still have to vote,
We still have to vote on the EDU.
and we have to vote first reading.
Okay.
I don't think we technically have to, but we generally would.
But we normally do, first reading, second and final reading.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have two votes. You just have to, it can't be finally approved at the same meeting that it's introduced.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
But I'm fine with voting on it.
I'm good with what, majority will take it. But I'm good with this, my opinion. I'm good with the raising of the EDUs. It's not affecting our residents, it's all new incoming, so I'm good with.
Yeah, it's just,
That hasn't, I'm very satisfied with that, Carmen. Thank you.
do you want us to vote on proceeding on it? Okay. I don't see a need. It's been introduced, we're good. Unless somebody else feels different.
But normally our ordinances aren't done in 3. We don't do an introduction, first reading, second reading.
Right, but you don't have to vote twice. You don't have to approve.
We can
it
vote twice next time, is what you're saying.
No. You only have to vote one
Once.
time, but it can't be on the same night unless you suspend your rule.
Right.
So think of it this way. The purpose of that law is that you can't introduce something and then ratify it finally
No,
in the same meeting because.
I understand
that
the
way you
law.
can-
I know
No,
what,
that way you can spring it on people. But as long as it's introduced at that first meeting, it doesn't matter whether there's a vote taken. You can do the final approval at the next meeting.
I'm saying 8 years as clerk treasurer, the introduction was always the first reading
It's,
on ordinances.
Right. But we don't have rules that require it
I know, but why wouldn't you?
by our. If you would like to do that and make a motion, then maybe
I
that.
mean, why wouldn't you?
what
The
you
first
should do.
reading, that doesn't mean it's passed.
I guess,
I'm just saying, you don't have to legally, if you want to, as a matter of policy or procedure that you would like to see used, that's fine.
it's on the thing here for the first reading. Does it matter if it's filled in or not?
That, it does not, but that may be a good reason just to go ahead and have a first reading vote.
Yeah, because that's why they've
Fill that
always
in
been.
and-
I was just trying to learn.
Sure.
We have a motion for a first reading just to stay in compliance.
I would make a motion for a first reading to approve ordinance 2024-14.
I'll second it.
So Debbie and Joe. And roll call, please.
Tim Brown?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Hill?
Yes? Um, 2024-10, appeal of property tax.
Yes, the authorization to submit our appeal for the property tax levy. As you recall, the state limits our growth to 4%. The town grew by 8.92% last year, which does make us eligible for a tax levy. We've been working with Stephen and myself and Adam Stone on putting the calculations together and last month we did discuss this, and have the public hearing on it. But we'd like to get your approval to, submit this. It's due next week.
Something like that, I can't remember exactly the
Yeah,
date.
it's due here in October. But we've been working on our application. The one thing that the Department of Local Government Finance has indicated this year is they want as much detail on what you plan to do with the dollars that, if you are approved for the tax levy. And so as you all know, a big chunk of it, so this would be for the town and the fire department, since they both have a rate, a tax rate. That a majority of the funds would go to help kind of offset some of the fire department funds. As you recall, we brought in quite a bit of fire department expenditures into the general fund to help offset those funds as well. So we're looking at, for the town, if we are approved, it would be $148,000. Additional would be the approved levy. And then on the fire department, theirs is 24,862. So if we have your permission, we would like to proceed with this application. Trying to capture as much as we can from the state.
I'm 100% in favor of it. This is not, it's not a tax increase, it's simply whether or not the town gets more of the taxes that are collected from the town.
Correct.
Whether it goes into the state or the school or another.
Correct.
I'm 100% in favor of, if we're providing services at an 8% growth rate and we're only being funded at a 4% growth rate, I think we have an obligation to try and provide services that people expect.
Great.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2024-10 levy appeal.
I'll second.
Debbie, Tim, roll call, please.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Deborah Hendrickson,
Yes.
Joe Saylor,
Yes.
Richard Hill,
Yes.
pass 4-0.
I only have one of these that has Town of Whiteland, but there's not one that says fire department. Isn't there a second one?
You guys got them last month too. I can't believe the fire department one.
I just wanted to make sure we had both of them to sign.
Well, let me see what you got there.
I read it and it didn't mention the fire department, so,
It should be a separate application.
yeah,
Well, you're looking at the resolution.
yeah.
Let me take a look at this, and if we need to do something to address that, we can. But you, indeed.
No,
Yeah, my interpretation is this is designed to cover both. The third paragraph says the appropriate officials, employees, agents of the town of Whiteland are authorized to execute any and all documents on behalf of the town and to perform any act necessary to appeal the property tax levy limitations, plural, as desired and contemplated by this resolution.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we had two.
Yeah, that'll cover both.
And then the thing where it is on the application, there's an A and an I and nay.
Yeah, there's a separate place for you to sign on that too.
Okay, clarified that.
The last one has been a long time coming. It was added to the agenda, so I guess that was the light my fire, light the fire under me to get it done. So we've been working since the beginning of the year on making sure all of our vehicles are properly marked. And we had some quotes back in May, and my kind of like stance was I was looking at changing the logo. I was going to make a suggestion that we look at the logo from that. That is very complicated and very complex.
That has a lot more hills than we actually have.
There used to be horses in one of the versions, there were horses. I mean, we do have horses up on Front Street, but, so then we kind of moved to, I just made it simple and used the W from the cursive, the script, with the Whiteland underneath it in more of that moving forward town of Whiteland font. And it was okay, but the W in the script kind of looks a little feminine. So I played with things today.
I was gonna say that.
Took and this doesn't have to be the logo forever, but I just took let's simplify it. And so we took the W that using the same font as the town of Whiteland moving forward, and then put Whiteland through it. As an option, so we can get our vehicles marked, so we can get all of our vehicles marked the way that has been requested, and make sure that we've got, like I said, all of our vehicles properly marked. We called Spotlight and got an update on decals and what that would cost, and so that's what I put together as far as like a memo. Now, this is just a rough estimate, something quick that we put together today. This is the town vehicles, not the police, and fire would probably have something just a little slightly different. They may still have a Whiteland logo on there, but the only fire department vehicle that does not have any kind of markings is the Chiefs. So unless you guys are okay with his not being, marked as, a fire vehicle, obviously you can see the light bars and things of that nature, but that's totally up to you all. But this would be the proposed kind of logos to be putting on all of our vehicles, and then most likely starting to use that on apparel and other things that we brand, with that logo.
So you're gonna use all three, or?
No, I just put it on different backgrounds so you could see. So if I had it on a black jacket, what would that look like? It would have to be a two-color, just because if you put white on white, it would wash out. So I just kind of put it on different backgrounds just so you could see what it would look like. That's the blue that's in that logo up there, kind of a little different, so it looks a little like on paper.
So I think it's fine, except for it needs to have town of.
Is that what you want?
Yes, because it looks like a high school symbol, white.
I mean, the reason I left it is that, and I'll just say, it was like Greenwood, it just says Greenwood underneath it.
Be a
So
Greenwood.
We can, no, it just says Greenwood.
Some of the trucks do just say Greenwood, but
That's
some,
true, big,
and I've got a question. And personally, I think the fire chief's truck should be marked. If it's just because it's got lights, it still needs to be marked. It needs to be town of Whiteland. We need to show the residents what we're spending their money on, these new trucks, stuff like that. I drive a company truck, and I'm proud to supply my logo for my work. I'm very blessed to have a good job, and I don't mind if my truck's marked. It's not an issue to me. As you're aware, we've been working on this a while, me and you. We've talked about it several times. That's why I was curious is that the W you're saying, what looks sensitive, feminine? Okay. That's right. So,
And like I said, when
An old guy has that kind of
when
handwriting.
I read
No,
it,
no.
like, I just took the W from the script up there and sing them.
I'll be honest, I really didn't mind that. I mean, a logo's a logo. I think, it can be tweaked and stuff like that. I think there's something what needs to be done, but we definitely need to get, because I'll be honest, I get a lot of calls and ask why aren't our trucks marked and stuff like that. So that was a big push for me, because when I walked this town to get elected and knocked on doors, that was one of the things. Hey, what are we doing with this? What are we doing with that? And I told them I'd take a look at it. And if it's not getting done, then it don't look like I'm doing what I'm supposed to. So I was a big push on this. Okay.
the one thing that I want it for is because Mike and I just the other day had a utility truck of something parked on our property. And no logo, nothing on his truck. And Mike walked over to him, and he wasn't even going to talk to Mike, and finally rolled his window down, said he was with NDOT. Now, NDOT has logos on all their trucks that I know of. Maybe not.
Most
But
of
he-
them have like municipal plates as well.
Right.
And
Blue
he's-
plates.
Well, he said, there's no room to park up above. So, I don't know who that is parked down there on my property, and it makes me nervous. So that's one reason why I want them to know that this is our guys. You don't got to worry.
And that's what I told Richard earlier today. I said, all of our employees are on the town side. I can't speak for other departments, but I know that police are always in have a uniform on of some sort or something that marks them as a Whiteland police. Like Julia always wears the civilian, her polo and things of that nature. Our guys the expectation is for them always to be wearing something Whiteland. The only kind of chance that they may not be is if they're out on a water dig and it's in the middle of the night and they have to put on gear kind of thing. But most likely there is a truck there that has Whiteland. My vehicle only had like a small decal on it, like the small logo, from a previous town manager. He had it, whatever titles he decided.
He had it decked out with
And,
titles.
so those were removed, but that logo is still on there now. It's not very big. Ideally, what the goal would be is to put this on the doors, of both the passenger, front
I just think that
passenger
looks like high
and
school,
front driver's side door.
this here.
So
So it would say town of
I can add
Whiteland.
town up and see what that, and just kind of shift the Whiteland down just so it's centered.
Right, because I like I said, I think we need something on
And
there
we
to
don't
mark them.
mind it, it's just, with everything else we had going on, this wasn't a priority for me. But I know it's been a priority for you.
Been a priority for me.
If the council would like it for it to be a priority for me, we'll get it done.
Well, that's why I went to this step, because our ordinance says that it takes 3 of us to do it. So I've asked, and, it's never been, so I
No,
called
we worked on
Richard and
it.
said,
Just didn't bring it forward.
You like kind of.
well, I never, ever received any information that you guys was even working on it. All I know is that I know you want it, and so that's why I brought it this way, that way it'll get done, and then everybody's got it out in the open.
Carmen, I like Debbie, kind of while I was doing my handiwork, the town of Whiteland with the W. I think that looks pretty slick.
I'll probably center it and then I may even put I'll try it town of, make that a little bit maybe smaller of a font. I'll try them both, the same font, maybe.
I mean, you could put that above the W.
This is my cup of tea right here.
I know.
Then you
That's what I was saying. Well, you could put it right above the W,
Yeah,
and still have the
town- right
white one
here,
going through
town
the
of.
W.
Correct.
Right there, and then town of Whiteland across the top.
I'll put it around and then I'll.
Can you tell us the stitch count too?
I will, and that's, no.
It's a private
Give you a
joke.
stitch count.
I know you
Yeah,
can,
I will.
and so can I.
That's why I wanted you to see.
I can't.
Switch the colors around, and this would be way less stitch counts and be cheaper for us to embroider than that.
Oh, definitely.
And it'll lay better on a apparel than that. So anyway, doesn't have to stay this forever, but at least it's gonna be.
Well, we got a small logo too over in our area. It's nothing like that. So I
Thank you
get
for
it.
putting together that.
revision and send it out, get your guys' thoughts. And then, like I said, I've got a price quote from Spotlight to have them do it because for us, I mean, we're behind on a lot of things over, at the street garage, getting our vehicles maintained. So I don't wanna pull him away to have to put decals on.
So if Carmen's able to do this and budget of $7,000, is everybody, if we like the
I'm a-
graphic? are we-
Yeah, I think as long as everybody can agree on that.
You said, it says for 25 to 30 decals?
I included the excavators,
So that's still pretty good though, 7,000
yes.
for,
Actually, it is. I'll vouch for the price of it.
because the insurance, when they paid us for the decals on the cars, they gave us,
Those were like police and.
They didn't give you no town to replace on the towns? When some of the town trucks got messed up?
yes, they replaced the decals, they gave us money.
The Charger didn't have anything. So there were already vehicles that didn't have those on. But I can look to see if there's anything left. Tornado or
I'm fine. I don't have I don't have nearly as strong feelings about it as I think other people do. I'm not against it. I also don't see it as a huge necessity. I'm fine with whatever.
We'll make revisions to that and see what that looks like.
I would appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the time you spent on this. I know it was quick on you because you were on vacation, but I do appreciate
You were on vacation?
One for Amy, yeah. Came back just for tonight.
She did. Oh, so you're still on vacation?
No.
I was supposed to say I'd have stayed on vacation.
Oh, I did work during. Oh. Anyway.
You never.
You should have told me. I was texting.
I was told you came back today.
No, I came back last night.
Oh, okay,
Came back to work today.
okay.
Just for that.
I didn't mean to interrupt your vacation.
Get used to it. That's how it is when you work for the city.
Right.
You never really get a vacation.
I have one thing for Slim, he is not feeling well tonight, so he did not come. Pardon me. With the industrial buildings, they tend to do fire flow testing every 6 months. And with that, when they do a fire flow test, they run it for 10 minutes and use approximately 10,000 gallons of water. That water is not metered, that water they do not pay for. So he would like to have us kind of look at an appropriate charge because our people are there on scene, like on site, when they do these fire flow tests. So a charge to basically do the test that would be a flat fee to cover our labor, as well as whatever water they use. So if we're talking 20,000 at a time, that's a lot of gallonage that literally goes down.
Yeah, Slim called me on this
How
and
long
was
do they
asking
do
me
it?
about it in our area. And like,
10 minutes.
in our area, it's a little different because we got private hydrants. So when they pull out of ours, they're pulling through a meter and it automatically with the private hydrants pay for it. And he asked me about it, why, and I was all for it because it's taken, we're dumping all this water just in the ground. So like I was explaining to Slim, you could put a meter on the end of the, check it by meter, or there's a way you can take a 5-gallon bucket, fill it up, see how long it takes you to do it, and then you calculate that, and that tells you how many gallons per minute and stuff. So I told him that I would support it because I think we need to get paid for it, especially with American raising our rates and stuff like that. We need to make sure that we're getting paid for every bit of the water going out. And he said it's been driving him nuts for a while, is how he explained it to
Well,
me.
I believe it, yeah.
And he wanted to make sure that they're taken care of, because let's say if that test fails, then they gotta come back the next week and do it again. So that's twice the amount of water that they're using instead of just doing it that way.
And it's basically for for private
Correct.
building occupancy certification.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with us. They do it for the sprinkler system. The sprinkler system requires that the fire marshal checks on it. And stuff like that. It's nothing to benefit us as a town. We're actually losing money when we're dumping water on the ground and sending our guy out there to do it.
I'd be in support.
Okay, and then we also have to do, that we supply to IDEM as a water loss audit. We have to kind of, and that's where I always look at the reports that show how much water we use on a daily basis. And if there's like an anomaly, I'm asking, well, what happened? The answer is usually, well, there was a fire flow test, or the school's still on the heat. So those are like, but that's an indicator. Then we look at water purchase versus what we bill, and if that's where that gap of that audit, and if we're only billing for, let's say, 50 million gallons, but it says we used 60 million, well, who paid for the 10 million the town did? And so it just would help to kind of recoup some of those.
We had
So
to
are you
start.
asking for like to
We were just gonna pursue.
kind of like a development of some sort of ordinance or something? Absolutely.
If we have the dollar amount in time, we can put it into the one that we're gonna try and bring next
Okay.
month.
Yeah,
I guess that's something Slim and you'll work on the dollar amount on.
yeah, he threw out like $200 for a flat fee, and whatever the flow charge would be, so.
Right, that's what me and him talked
I mean,
about.
we could even look at it, so we'll come back. And then the last thing I had was that we're planning to partner, or not partner, but be alongside with Boo Bash, the Bailey and Wood Boo Bash that's coming up on October 24th. And Nixon is gonna do a chili dinner fundraiser to benefit our chief. So 5 to 8 over Bailey and Wood. That's one of the things.
Carmen, one last thing, the audit, is that still going on? The DGLF, it's still?
Yes, they have not scheduled our excellent conference with Ed. And they're done with all of the data that they need.
Okay.
They're waiting on some paperwork from another place.
So we'll collectively get a final report or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She'll have a meeting with all of us, and I know to contact you, Adam, Carmen, me,
Okay,
and
All right.
whoever else wants to participate.
okay.
If it's gonna be a majority of the council,
You gotta,
then we have to give notice.
Right.
So
I'm fine with
think about that.
Richard. You are interested in doing it? Do I understand?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's fine.
Hey, with having him.
maybe if she's interested, I'm not, I don't know.
I can be there too.
And that's just two of them, cause I'm just a deer in the headlight.
Thank you.
I try to figure.
Chief Funkhauser is home, right?
Mr. Ship? You have nothing tonight?
All right, that's my county chief.
I yield my time to whoever else needs it.
Thank you so much, sir. Any council comment at all? Any public comment at all? No? Okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
That's my favorite part.
what is this fundraiser?